Good morning. Good morning. What you think of me is none of my business. What you think of me is none of my business, right? How many people believe that? You believe it. You say you believe it. We say we believe it. What you think of me is none of my business. But it's a lot harder to maintain that kind of attitude. And I understand. We say what you think of me is none of my business. But when it comes to applying that to our life, it's difficult. And the thing of it is that it starts early. What starts early? The attempts to please other people and to do what other people say we should do, and to act the ways that people think that we ought to act. I remember very well when I was growing up in the church that I was a part of at the time, we had a group that was called CYF, Christian Youth Fellowship. And we go to CYF meetings. We had CYF meetings on Mondays, and then there was a woman there who was one of the teachers, and she put the fear of hell in me and thinking about God being a person who was always keeping track of what we were doing and would erase our sins if we asked for forgiveness. But if we didn't get them forgiven, that then one day Gabriel blew his trumpet and we hadn't been forgiven, we were going to go down there. And then we would have our programs. We would have a Christmas program and an Easter program. And we would dress up in our suits and our dresses with the frilly socks and patent leather shoes and the bows and our hair slicked back and our face all shiny and everything. You know what I'm talking about. Mother'd shine your face up and you go to the program. And what we would do, we would prepare for the program and we would sing at the program. And the woman, I'll call her Miss Smith. Miss Smith would lead us in the songs. And what she did was she had a flip chart that she'd write the words out to the songs on it, and she would have it there. And then she had this pointer, and she would stand there and she would point to the words while we would sing. But what would happen is that every time we got ready for one of those programs, right before the program started, she'd say, "Boys and girls, I'm not really sure you're going to do that well today. Sing. I want you to surprise me. I want you to do your best. But I'm not sure." And we don't want to disappoint your mothers and fathers and all your family members that are out there. But I don't know. So you need to surprise me. I don't know. So we would sit there, and it was time for us to sing, and she would stand, and she would ask us to stand, and she would get her pointer, and my mother was the pianist, and she would start playing, and we'd start singing the song, and she'd point to the words in the song, and she'd look at us with a kind of concerned look and everything. So we would sing our hearts out. We would sing, and we would sing, and then at the end, we were all waiting for that one thing, which is that when we stopped singing, she would take the pointer, she would rest it in her hand, she would smile at us, and she would mouth the words, "Very good." And it made us feel good. And we never caught on to her psychology. Well, I don't think you're going to do that well. You need to surprise me. But the fact of it is that we tried very hard to gain her approval and to get her to say, "Very good." And it wasn't just her. It was parents and other teachers and pastors and leaders, and let's not talk about our peer groups, peer pressure, our friends and our peer groups that we want to fit in and we want to be like them, and we don't want to stand out from the crowd. We want to fit in and not be ostracized, not be made fun of. So while we might say that what you think of me is none of my business, we spend a lot of time making what other people think about us our business. And so as we do that, we come to those periods and those points in our lives where we begin to realize that a lot of that carries a lot of emptiness with it. They're trying to fit in and trying to be like everyone else and trying to do the things that people expect us to do say that we should do, that teach us that we should do, becomes empty, because what happens is we find ourselves along the way being lost, feeling lost. And oftentimes people will come to a place like Open Heart and they will say, well, I feel like I'm home now, because one of the things that I really have always thought is important here, we don't teach you what to think, we teach you how to think. And people are here with many different beliefs, and people ask me, well, how do y'all do that at Open Heart? It's because we respect what you think. I'll tell you how to think. But it's important that we get into that understanding, into that mindset, that as we are here, and as we're moving through this life, that when we get to that point where we say, what you think of me is none of my business, we are learning and stating that we are becoming inner-directed as opposed to outer-directed. An inner-directed life is a fulfilling life. An outer-directed life can be sometimes, but not so much. Because as things change, we find ourselves changing. I know a woman, I won't call her name, who's like that, but she, every time you see her, you know when she's got a new relationship, a new partner. Because, and I've said it to her, I said, you must have a new partner that likes short hair. She said, well, how do you know? Because your hair is short and it was long a week ago. A few months later, where she'd been casual, now she's more corporate type looking. Oh, new relationships. How do you know? Oh, just, lucky guess. By the way, they must like corporate look, right? Yeah. So, and that would happen with her, that every time, new relationship, something would change because that's what they liked. And one of the really funny incidents is that when she got in a relationship with a partner, I'll call her partner Angie, who was a vegetarian. So she became a vegetarian. And it's nothing wrong with being a vegetarian. I was a vegetarian, but she became a radical vegetarian. You know the type. That before you put food in your mouth, they have to preach a sermon about, what's in there, and, how you need to protect the earth, and all of those things. And she would go on and on and on and on as a radical vegetarian. And we would all be thinking, but you weren't like this a few months ago. It wasn't until you got in this relationship. Now everything is suspect. But yes, she would do it. So finally, we had a chance to all go out because she had gotten a promotion at her job. And so we were going out, and Angie came along. So, we thought about a restaurant that everyone would be able to eat and find something on the menu and all of that. So as they're sitting there at the restaurant, and the server goes around asking everybody their order, and my friend, of course, orders something vegetarian. When they get to Angie, she says, I'll have the steak. And there was a collective gasp at the table. Steak? I thought you were a vegetarian. She said, yeah, but it's a celebration. It's a special occasion. And so I thought about what it's like to be my friend, to be going from relationship to relationship and trying to change every time to please the other person and to be loved by them, where first and foremost, when we have inner-directed life, we know that the most important thing is to love ourselves. To accept ourselves as we are. To forgive ourselves. Now that sounds sometimes funny, but oftentimes when we make mistakes and things happen, we seek forgiveness from other people, but we never really forgive ourselves. And the most important thing that we can ever do is to forgive ourselves. To understand that when we talk about perfection, perfection is not about not making mistakes. Perfection, which we all are perfect, is meaning that we are that expression of God, which is perfection. And while we may make mistakes, as we forgive ourselves for those mistakes and we learn not to allow ourselves to be crippled by them and we move beyond them, then we are on the path to living an inner-directed life. This morning I saw a post that talked about 5 things to do before you first get out of bed. And there were some wonderful things like expressing words of gratitude, breathing 5 breaths. It was about forgiving yourself. It was about finding some other things. There were things there. And when the person posted it, there were some people who, said, this is really great, this is wonderful. But of course, those trolls on social media, you had some people who immediately had to jump on that and say, no, you should pray first, and no, you should ask God for forgiveness. And again, we understand that where we experience God and where we know God is not out there, but inside, an inner directed life. And why is an inner directed life so important? We live in a day and age, if you've not already noticed it, where there's a lot of noise. There is a lot of noise. There is a lot going on in our nation and in our world with all of the things that people are saying and doing, that if we aren't careful, it can drive us crazy. I mean, from one thing with the elections that are going on, both locally and the race for the presidency that's kicked off nationally, and all of the things that are happening in between, the media that is constantly bombarding us and sending us messages about us not being good enough, not being adequate, not having this, not having that. If we would listen to all of that, we would be crazy. And there are some people that unfortunately these kinds of things constantly bombard them to the point where they don't know. They really feel like they no longer know who they are or who to trust or what the world is all about or any of those kinds of things. Constantly being bombarded. Constantly we have more information coming at us now in one day than people had in 20 years. We've got all of these things that are happening. We have to learn to be inner directed if we want to ultimately have the lives that are fulfilling and enriched lives. Inner directed means to be able to turn within. And that's easier said than done. But it's simply learning to just take a breath, and in that breath and in that moment, recognize that that's all I might need to do right here and now. It's to take a breath. Life around me might be swirling and get crazy, but when I take a breath, I reconnect with who I truly am, with all that is. When I take a breath, it means that I am being inspired, for inspiration means to be God-breathed, inspirare. And when we begin to do that, ideas and inspiration and creativity and motivation come to us as a part of that inner directed life. When we learn to just be in the moment, and you hear me say that all the time, but it's the truth. I mean, I can't keep inventing ways to be other than to say that one of the most important things is to be in the present moment. That when we are in the present moment, then all else falls into place. When we're in the present moment, our minds don't get on the papancha train. You remember papancha, the Sanskrit word that stands for, that talks about a mind that takes a little bit of information and goes running with it before it has all the details and all the facts. And we run into that all the time, the papancha train. But when we can stay in the present moment, when we can live an inner directed life, we move into another space, into another place. We become not only inner directed and inner motivated and inner inspired, but then we become a vessel to be able to touch and to reach other people. And when we're able to do that, we're able to be that instrument of peace that St. Francis of Assisi talked about. Where there's hatred, let me show love. Where there's injury, pardon. We become that place and that space that for others, God shows up in a way unlike anything else. That's not out there, that's judging them nor us, but that is loving. And as we learn this, and we learn how to direct our lives in this way, the things that we truly talk about, we sang this morning, I start my day with love, peace, and joy. What a wonderful way to start our day. But we can only do it when we're in the moment and inner directed. What a wonderful way to truly say that what you think of me is none of my business, because I so love myself and I so know who I am, that whatever a person might say or do or try to do or whatever else, it doesn't matter. Because I was listening to Jamie Lula sing this morning, you're perfect, you're golden, you're the light of the world. What a wonderful, wonderful way to live and to know that you are perfect, you are golden, you are the light of the world. But don't take it from me, because what I think of you is none of your business. Know that for yourself. Embrace it for yourself. Be it for yourself. And so it is.
And so it is. only one power, one presence in the universe, and that is God. And as each of us takes in all that we have learned today, we embody it. We make it our own. We live from that truth. We give thanks for all that who have participated today. We give thanks for the music. We give thanks for the sceneries. We give thanks for the energy that each of us has brought today. And we give thanks for the use of this wonderful space for this time. Grateful that we are moving forward on our journey to bigger and better things. And as I move about my week, I step into that place where time and space cease to exist. Truly knowing that whatever other people think about me, it really is none of my business, because I live from within. Because deep the center of my being, there is a wellspring of love. It is from love that I truly exist. It's all I have ever been. It's all that I will ever be. I live from it. I am it. So it is.